Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 4. Now, we're using the World Ablaze mod. The question is it better than Black Ice for Hearts of Iron 4? It might just be. We got to really get into the war before I'm going to make a proper judgment on that. But we're doing this. You want to try? Probably not later today, IKB, but just because I get a bit drained by the end of the live stream, and I don't know if I want to make more videos right after it, and I don't want to keep you up late. So I was hoping to wake up much earlier, but I didn't. Okay, so we're going to, let's look at our research slot here. Okay, we are in 1940. Well, let's look over here. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Now, we are currently integrating Romania. And when that's done, which sets them up with a lot more military factories. They're not yet in our faction. I think we will go for, let's see, 35 days. Yeah, that's about where we're scheduling. All of this. Okay, that looks good. Let's let this continue. Oh, things just got snowy. This is back in the days before global warming, and it used to snow in the wintertime. Kingdom of Romania cedes Bessarabia to the Soviet Union. Yes, Soviet Union claims that. The Union declared war on the Republic of Finland. Okay. Well. Yes, this is when it happened, but it wouldn't happen if Germany, Okay, here's a flaw in their mod. Because I'm presuming either the mod has set this up or hasn't corrected this. Soviet Union declaring, yep. And also I've just noticed the Baltic states. Okay. World Ablaze people, I don't know if any of you are here right now yet. But if you watch this later, and you've told me, and I'm believing you, this isn't that you're going for realism. There are several major problems with what's happening now, with what you have set up here. One, we do have where is it? It's Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Yes, we have that. Now, one, it sets up spheres of influence. Finland, Estonia, and Latvia are in the Soviet spheres of influence. Poland's going to be divided, and Lithuania is in the German sphere of influence. Now, in my opinion, The Soviets would not have demanded territory from Finland, would not have occupied Estonia and Latvia, and I think it's a very healthy, strong opinion that if, until Poland is dealt with, they would not have done this first. So this is a bad thing. Now, we have, I think it's for 7 days, and this is 35 days to complete. Well, it was, I think, approximately 2 weeks from Ribbentrop to here. Now, of course, we needed to get Ribbentrop to get aligning these things here. So, from the Second Vienna Award, I would break all of this out away from Ribbentrop Pact here, because to progress down this path, you shouldn't need to set this up. So we're not yet at war. So I would have a check on all of this Soviets going to war and grabbing up territories, and especially this, because this is clearly in the German sphere of influence. So, you know, and so the Soviets, oh, and the Soviets do wait later to do this after the Winter War situation before coming in here. I think that part I'm not absolutely sure on. And it is only the swapping of these territories here to Germany that Germany swaps out Lithuania. Okay, well, we can now produce more factories. Yay. Produced a bunch here in the east. You know, today is the anniversary of the beginning of the Warsaw Uprising. Yes, I did know it was right around now, if not today, because I've been seeing some stuff on it coming up as being the anniversary. That's one of the tragedies of World War II, in my opinion. I mean, the whole war is, of course. Okay, so they accept all that. We get a little bit of building more military factories, and so do they. Yeah, one of the great tragedies, I mean, the whole war is, but they rise up, but the Soviets say, oh, oops, you're rising up. Well, let's stop right back here. Wait until that rising's put down. And then once it's put down, then they advance again. Clearly on the idea that they don't want to mess with, okay, what we're going to do here is convert to the Emil and convert to the better. And yeah, we'll do this early. It's a big hit to organization, but I think we're doing okay for AT guns. And the Soviets, Stalin and the Soviets knew that the people that were rising up against the Germans would also be trouble for them to occupy later on, because they, for some crazy reason, felt that they should have an independent country. Okay. Now, I think what we're going to do is, because we eventually want to go over to medium tanks instead of light tanks. We were to convert this to medium. Okay, we need 500. We have 300 available. Okay, so now we're going to continue with this for the moment. Okay, March. Okay, so this would put it just at the end of March and the beginning into April. So hopefully we'll be done with the snowy weather at about that time. The rising was also not coordinated with the British in terms of airdrop supplies. And dropping the Polish parachute brigade. Yeah. It's been a long time since I've really read or watched anything on the Warsaw uprisings of any depth. I remember the first that I can remember hearing of it is about the Second World War series that's narrated, The World at War, it's called, narrated by Laurence Olivier, and talking about that. It was definitely an idea, sort of like what we see with Paris. Paris rises up as the Allies are approaching it. The Poles rise up, expecting the Soviet offensive to continue. And so they wanted to liberate themselves, possibly before the Germans just decide to destroy everything and things like that. So there is an element of that. They want to help. What they perceive is, strangely enough, is trying to liberate. The Soviets were trying to liberate their country. They wanted to help that liberation. And 3, I think, to a point, they wanted to have a functioning, government of sorts when the Soviets arrived, so that they go, yeah, you're here, help us, great, but we're governing ourselves, because of course they're well aware of Soviets taking a great chunk of their territory. So Stalin orders the halt right about here, just to allow the Germans to put it down. And how do I put this? The Germans were deluded, okay, and I don't know. I've talked about why did the Germans keep fighting and all this stuff. But when you have Soviet armies here, and in 44, we've already have the D-Day back in June, because this is now August 1st, so they're not throwing that out. I don't know why the Germans spent a lot of effort crushing that rising, and I just don't get entirely why. But maybe they're just still so much in the mindset that in another 2 or 6 months we're going to have our tank production way up and our jet production going really fast, and we're going to be turning the tides on them all. But okay, and yes, it was such a forbid. Polish bombers in Italy flew supply runs for some time before they were ordered to stop, and the British had, at that point, decided to use the Polish Parachute Brigade for more important operations in Benelux, namely Operation Market Garden and trying to come here. I'm sure the Polish Parachute Brigade would have liked to have parachuted into Warsaw. I wondered if the Parachute Brigade would have still gone in. I mean, I get bravado and all, but if you go explain to the soldiers, okay, we're going to drop you into Warsaw. Now, The Soviets are going to stall all offensive operations in the east until they kill all of the Warsaw uprisings, and well, we may continue some airborne drops of supplies to you. Basically, you're all going in there to die. So, other than having a heroic fight in the name of your country, which does have long-term implications, yes, you're not going to change the outcome of the war, really, and that's sort of the idea. Hello, Lord, good to see you again. I believe Hitler's quote was to set an example and to burn Warsaw. Yes, I understand that is part of the motivation, and very good, IKB. For the TIK, yes, hello. I get the idea. The concept of, hey, the Soviets are coming, let's quickly rise up to save the city before the Germans, raze it to the ground. I mean, it was already a wreck. And the Germans, they clean up rubble and stuff, but they never try to rebuild Warsaw. And they look more at Lodz and Krakow, however you want to say it, as sort of the main sort of cities in the area, much more so than Warsaw. So Warsaw is just sort of a ruin after the German bombings throughout the rest of the war. And so, I'm not saying it was almost all destroyed or anything like that at that point, but it was, the Germans weren't interested in repairing it, and they very likely could have crushed it before letting the Soviets have it. So I get the idea of, like I was saying, Paris rising up and trying to deal with the Germans, because there was also the order by the Germans to raise Paris before the Allies can get there. And so I get that. It's just the criminal level of Soviet behavior to stop and wait for the Germans to crush the Warsaw Rising before advancing on. It wouldn't change because of the Soviet attitude. It's not only that Stalin would hold the offensive, but the Soviet Air Force didn't. They didn't give any air cover. They forbid to land Western planes and liberated. Yeah, no, there was a complete and total desire by Stalin, because Stalin knew, like I was saying, I think before you got here, Lord, that the people that were willing to rise up in the the Second Warsaw Rising, were just the type of people that would give Stalin and the Soviets trouble in trying to control post-war Poland. And so, yeah, those are the people that were motivated to do something enough to fight. As a Polish parachute unit dropped in, the Soviets might have had a part. Yeah, I wonder how that would have changed, but remember, these are the same people, basically, that I think most of the parachute brigade are made up of the Poles that escaped from the Soviet Union and walked down into Iran and whatnot, that Stalin had previously had in the Gulag. So, yeah, it's not like Stalin was overly concerned about just cracking down on these breakthrough defense, hard attack, soft attack, hard attack, reinforcement rate, long range combat. That would be probably more the German look. Orders by task. Can we research that? Yes, okay, good. Hello, Alex Plays. We are playing World Ablaze mod. That the presence of the Parachute Brigade could have given Armia, I don't know who that is, time needed to launch the uprising in Lodz and Krakow as well. Yeah, it very well might have. But looking at, because I'm trying to analyze this with Stalin's post-war behavior. Stalin was not willing to, in the post-war world, willing to use military, I'm trying to choose my words carefully, use military force against conventional Western forces in an aggressive manner. I think that is well stated. So, Stalin is willing to use military forces against Greeks because they're not conventional Western, Britain, reconstituted France forces, American forces, British forces. Those are about it. Stalin is not willing to aggressively go after them, but he's willing to aggressively go after Greece. There's initially British troops in the Greek fighting in Greece. Churchill moderately quickly, I mean not like right away, but moderately quickly pulls the Brits out of the fighting, but really floods in weapons and support elements to the anti-communist forces in Greece. And Stalin's willing to let that sort of rage on and continue for a while for a Greek civil war or whatever you want to call it. But when it comes to the East, he's pretty damn harsh on things. He doesn't, he pushes into Bulgaria, which was not at war with the Soviet Union. That's one thing that a lot of people don't know. And everything else. Had they jumped in, I don't see Stalin doing anything different. I really don't. I think you would get lip service and claims of delays because of needed supplies, needed this or whatever or something. I don't know. Yeah, this seems better than the Total War mod. Tempest, the home army, was attacking the German forces just before the Soviet front was closing in to help the Soviet army in liberating. The home army fighters were to catch and sent to jails or killed, with the exception of Soviet-approved communists. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's just all the people that Stalin does not want around. Okay, we're going to continue our tank rush of production here. Now let's look at our air power here. Okay, we're going to put you up over Poland in ground support. Similarly, over Poland in ground support. Western Poland for air base. We have plenty of space for more planes. So let's see, what do we want to do here? Let's throw on, before we do that, let's come over to the west. We have 140 fighters there, 220 here. Let's come here and rope another 100 fighters to confront enemy fighters over Western Germany. Now we're going to calculate either quality or quantity, which are both elements R lesser, so that we can use some of our older planes here. You we're going to put up and deploy over Eastern Poland, which doesn't cover it well, but at least get some coverage. . Also, let's go with using basically squadrons of 100 or squadron groups or whatever you want to call them. But obviously 100 is more than at least most nations' squadron sizes. Okay, that should give us hopefully a fair amount of air domination. The Polish government exile, one regional in Britain, and a newly formed in Moscow. Stalin wanted to install them. Of course, yes, the Moscow. So, what plans do you have? Sorry. Well, we are planning a spring offensive into Poland to crush Poland, and then rushing our forces west to deal with the Western Allies in summer of 1940. And then we're going to maybe see about taking the Mediterranean in 41. And then see about taking the Soviet Union in 42. Okay, this is useless. I don't care about that because they've already hurt our trade too much. Okay, well, we're going to have some problems with our rubber soon, I know. But you know, we have a positive benefit. So let's cancel that. Let's cancel that. There we go. There we go. Free up some factories. How much finished is the mod? I think this is one of those cases of a forever development. So long as they're interested in always tweaking and adding. At least that's what I gather. But I don't have, because the devs have been showing up in the last couple of Saturdays, and they may show up again. So you can ask them yourself if they do show up again. Well, we'll do this. Can we do this? There we go. Now, well, let's look over here. Okay. We've been creeping through. Let's look at this. Okay, this is a pretty decent division, I think. The one thing maybe is to get rid of some of these. Well, let's look. If we were to go to regular infantry instead of the light infantry, okay, we'll need additional 10,000 heavy infantry equipment. We have 24,000. So let's do that. That should make this a little stronger, a little better equipped. But let's train another one of these. And we'll actually add a couple more units here. And we'll give a location. I want to give a location in the east, or somewhat east. Yeah, the traditional one. Just what I think is best, and it's also a way of testing out other mods doing the same thing multiple places, and if they can, yeah, I guess we could do this here too, and if they can handle all of that, then it's good. Because some mods are set up, oh, you've got to attack, and I don't think this is, like the Soviet Union in 41, or it doesn't work, or whatever it might be. I'm not saying that this is at all the case, I'm just saying some mods have that. Okay, yeah, let's add another. We can do 2 of condors. No, modify the government yet. Wonder what these, because I thought I saw 2 Polish armored units. Yeah, 1 up there, 1 down there. I want 3, okay. Well, Poland didn't, at least to my knowledge, didn't have enough tanks for 3 armored divisions. Now, they might have had 3 divisions that had, oh, okay, well, let's see. If it's, well, 1 to 4, 1 to 5. Yeah, I don't know how accurate that is, but that seems a lot of tanks. A lot more than Poland had. World Ablaze mod currently. Poland refuses German. Okay. Research finish. Okay, Danziger War. Who is coming? Okay, yes, we'll... Oh, no, this is Bulgaria, right? Okay, invite to faction, sure. We'll take that. Research slot is available. Well, let's look at aircraft. BF-109C. No, I don't see any pressing needs right now on that level, so we can go for better entrenching equipment. Okay, we're going to wait on determining a... Okay, does this require us to... I thought they refused our... Okay, white piece up there with them. I thought they refused our ultimatum. Am I missing something? To prove the agreement bonuses take it's Danziger War event. Thought we had that. Did I somehow miss? Okay, let's save this. Let's come back here, load. I think this is before the... No, I wasn't able to declare war. I was able to start justifying a declaration of war. So I was expecting either the event... Yeah, okay, Danziger War still coming. I was expect either the event to cause the war to start, that's what I was expecting, or to give me a, a justification to declare war on Poland. Either one would be acceptable, you know, like, oh, hey, yeah, there's going to be war. You either give us Danzig or there's going to be war, and they go, oh, no. And then we might have to then declare war. Yeah, yeah, I think in the standard. Okay. National focus completed. Danziger war. We no longer fix equipment. Okay. We can take in. Invite to faction. Bulgaria. Sure. Get King Boris in our alliance. Improve that. Poland refuses. They know what this. Poland refuses to see Danzig, right? Unlocks activate fall Weiss. Gains core on Danzig. Gains core on Gdynia. Now, I'm gonna bitch. Okay, you're giving me cores on Danzig and Gdynia. But what about here? And here? And here? And say here? These should all be German cores too. Yeah, and even that, because they were all part of the German Empire. There were still a small but significant minority of Germans still living there, and much of the Poles that lived there were quite, yeah, okay, the Germans are back. At least that was how that was. Yeah, I know they're not cores in vanilla, but they're claiming that this is supposed to be a very historical mod. Okay, they know what the alternative is. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that if I clicked something wrong, okay. War is a decision, you're saying. Okay, well, yes. That's activate fall Weiss. Okay, that's it. Okay, that's it. Thank you, Toy Jet. Okay, so now we have that. We can got the Danzig shipyard, so let's, I guess, just add more subs to the. So I'm not really paying attention to naval this game. This game's as much just a test about things as it is anything else. Okay, so we've got in there a little TKS. Right, okay, well.
Angetreten. Zuhören. Ausrücken.
3 divisions push into there.
Zuhören.
You guys push into here.
Befehle. Ausrücken. Bereit zum Ausrücken. Ausrücken.
Well, it seems like they left this open, but maybe they didn't know. Hey, Nagaro. Yeah, Twitch chat. Now you can watch both from there from YouTube because you get the feed on the screen from the Twitch chat, but the Twitch chat doesn't get to see the YouTube chat. So I'm not really sure about which is better for a viewer just to watch.
zum
sort
Ausrücken.
of attacking in all directions at once, but there is a method to this madness here.
Bereit.
Coming up and around like that. Now,
Achtung. Angetreten.
okay, well, I guess another flaw here is, I guess this territory is not yet at war. Why don't you do frontline? Yeah, no, I like to manually play the game. That is a personal choice.
Ausrücken.
And so no, I don't use
Ihre Befehle.
front lines. Yeah, Slovakia is not at war, but it's also not allowing me to leave and exit the country. But also,
Achtung. Bereit.
the protectorate here is not at war. That's a little bit of a flaw, I would say. Okay, for some reason it's already vanished. Okay. Come on, damn you, God. Damn you. Yeah, I guess I could call them in, but, yeah. But they should just come in anyways. Well, no, well, this is what I'm talking about, Bohemia. Should just be coming in anyways. Just because.
Angetreten.
Because otherwise they could just sort of sit the war out.
Achtung. Zuhören. Zuhören.
Okay, you guys come through to loads. Those are motorized divisions.
Achtung.
You attack there. Yes, everybody's joining in the war. They all want in on the fun. No one wants to be left out of the game. Yes, 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 yes. We get that.
Angetreten.
Okay,
Angetreten.
you come to here. You come to here.
Achtung.
You come to here.
Bereit. Ausrücken. Ausrücken. Befehle.
Why die for Danzig, right? Yeah, why die for Danzig?
Zuhören.
Okay, you come up along. Well,
Zuhören.
one division comes up to there. No, just to there, across the river.
Achtung. Angetreten. Ihre Befehle.
Okay, you guys pushed into there, very nice.
Zuhören.
Another victory for the Winterland. Fall of Warsaw, very nice. No, we don't need you in the war yet, Bulgaria.
Zuhören. Achtung. Ihre Befehle.
Go pick up the pistol manufactory.
Bereit.
You push into
Bereit zum
there,
Ausrücken.
you push into there.
Achtung. Angetreten. Angetreten. Ausrücken.
Let's slow this down by one here.
Zuhören. Bereit zum Ausrücken. Achtung. Ausrücken. Zuhören. Befehle.
You support that attack, and you join that attack.
Befehle. Angetreten. Ihre Befehle. Achtung. Bereit. Zuhören. Ausrücken. Bereit zum Ausrücken. Ihre Befehle? Bereit zum Ausrücken. Angetreten.
Okay, has anybody detected? Not that Poland obviously has, you know, a great chance of winning or anything like that. But has anybody detected a better or more difficult AI to deal with than
Ausrücken.
standard? Netherlands caves to the British, yes. Okay, the Netherlands caves to the British. I don't really care. Oh, well, maybe I need to. Let's see. Where do we go? Prepare. Bases in France. No. Okay. Time to plan. Does not have. What? I remember we had the lack of offensive plans briefly. What? It does not have does not have national spirit, lack of offensive plans. Okay, lack of offensive, justifying war goal time will be removed. Okay, so this will be. Okay, so we can't do this. 21 days. Okay, just 21, but until August. That seems odd to me. I don't know. I don't know. We'll get organization tote going if we're not going to be the. Yeah. They did say something about this in chat last week, but I think they did say something about this in chat last week. About some sort of delay. Now, okay. This is going to sound a little bit ungamery, Ungamer 1745 to you. Oh, we're making our mods to be super historical. We're making our mods to be super historical. Gamer gets upset because mods are too historical. Yes, 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 yes. That, this is a bit of a rant here. You're getting a gamer rant here. Not going to rage quit or anything. I'm not anywhere near that. I'm just not happy. World War II starts by mistake. I think that if anybody looks at it clearly and rationally, Hitler starts the war by mistake. He believes that Poland will not give in over, and it's not over Danzig. Just to be clear, those of you who are not longtime viewers of the channel, Hitler was not demanding Danzig or war. That is entirely incorrect. He was demanding the Danzig corridor. Basically sort of this to some degree, or war. Not just Danzig. And they were offering, well, we'll give a special railway link up to Gdansk, or Gdynia, I mean, to Gdynia, so that they can have a special railway link to outside, but we want a corridor through. Claiming to be sort of reasonable. Yeah, that was sort of the idea. Like, yeah, no, we're just reasonable dudes over here. We're not, you know, demanding too much. Because Germany, and I'll look at the chat in a minute, Germany could have Danzig at a moment's notice. That wasn't what this was over. It was over the corridor that the Germans were pushing for, not over Danzig. So it was the Danzig corridor. Yeah, for propaganda purposes in the West, I don't know how it played in the East, but in the West, it just, you know, Danzig or war. You know, I mean, it just was Danzig, 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 because people understood that to a degree, trying to explain more that it was the corridor, but it was the corridor over it, and I've looked into this. So yeah, he was, and Hitler wanted a war with Poland. Hitler wanted a war with Czechoslovakia and didn't get it, and then, well, since he didn't get that war, he wanted a war with Poland. Now, because the Western Allies backed down over Poland, over Czechoslovakia, he thinks they're going to do that again over Danzig. So yes, the Second World War was started by a mistake. Okay, now we come to games and mods. I have played a lot of war games in my time. I'm sure a few of you played even more than I have, and I'm not just talking about computer war games. Really good one that I've played a few times is called the Battle of Manassas, and it's the first Manassas, or as the Union calls it, the Battle of Bull Run. Now, and that's set up as if, say, the, I don't know, the start of, I forget the date of the battle. It's the first major land battle. I mean, you had the siege of Fort Sumter, but the first major land battle of the American Civil War. And it's like set up as like starting at 6 a.m. So all the units start out on the map as they were at 6 a.m. And both sides get new units coming in at certain places on the map at timed intervals based upon like how fast that they were, sending riders out. Yeah, bring your regiment in, and how long it took the regiment to march there and where they appeared onto the edge of the map. And mostly, except for one section of Union forces that are sort of told to, and we're told to hold in a certain place for some time. Mostly, not entirely, mostly the forces, once they're on the map, you get to command them. So whether you're playing the Union or you're playing the Confederates, you get to try to play the battle smartly. And there's a whole line of good union units that I think it's, the first 2 or 3 hours of the morning as sort of the beginning stage of the battle. They're locked in place and they're holding at a very important ridge, and they're very unsure, and part of it was very unsure what some of the other Confederate units that were moving there that they need to hold. But once they're unlocked, everything is basically, whatever you want to do with it. And the Union basically has, overwhelming would be overstating it, but the Union has significant advantages, and especially if you freed up those forces in the early stages, and that's part of the problem is the Union, and you're also looking at a hex map on a table, really nicely done one. And no, I'm not looking at the chat. I'll look at it in a minute. And so you're seeing all the forces looking down at the map that's on it. And although there's ridge lines and whatnot marked on the map, you get to see them. So there's no hidden movement, where in reality, there were hills. I've walked the battlefield of Manassas. That's one of the reasons I'm talking about this. And it's kept in fairly historical shape and layout. And so there's, it's somewhat hilly of an area. And you can move, American Civil War regiments around without the other side being able to observe you, either through the trees and or hills. Now they sort of know you're there because it was August day. I think it's August 15th. I don't remember. It's an August day. It's sort of dry, Northern Virginia. And so they're going to kick up a lot of dust, and you're going to sort of see and know, there's units over there. But is it a company? Is it a full regiment, or is it 3 regiments? You don't know. You may know looking that there's troops over on the far side of that hill, but you don't know their state. You don't know their numbers. So it's sort of key. And the Confederates early on have a lot of sort of picket units, smaller. I know not all of you are familiar with some of these terms. Smaller set of units out sparsely along the front, holding some of the fords to get across the river because they've destroyed the bridges, except for one stone bridge, and there's a bunch of abats, which are fallen trees over it, basically clogging access to it. And so the Confederates are sort of holding some key points. And they're doing a delaying action until you bring up the main Confederate army. I know you didn't come here for a description of the Confederate Civil War battlefield. But so to sort of simulate the generals not knowing, and because this is a tabletop war game, you can't just easily with the mechanics of it. You don't have fog of war as you guys are. I don't know what's over here on the Soviet border. Are there 10 Polish armored divisions just now racing to come in and turn the tide? No, we know it's not there, that there's not. But it's the fog of war. You don't have the fog of war and whatnot. So it's sort of meant to sort of simulate some of that. But once you sort of get going in it, and those units free up, and the Confederate units, once they're on the map, the Confederate general can do what he wants to. So they can try to move up to hold the fords, or they can try to sort of just keep the units, sort of sacrifice the units that are holding the fords as delaying units while trying to form a line along Henry House Hill. And that's the hill that Henry House was on, but yeah. And form a line up there, or form a line up some other place, and you're supposed to, you have your choices to make. And the Union general has their choices to make. They can push up the center, they can sort of try to do a flanking maneuver around it, whatever, and there's some, sort of hex objectives by the end of the day that they're supposed to get, the Union are pushing, are supposed to get. Now, of course, the Confederates hold out. Jackson stands there like a stone wall, basically, his troops. That's where he gets the nickname Stonewall Jackson. And they turn the tide, and the Union Army collapses and flees panicked from the battlefield. Okay, so you get to, other than the one early holding of a major element of the Union forces, sort of unsure, you get to command the forces as you will. Okay, I know I've gone and explained a lot of that. Now here, this is what I'm sort of objecting to. Is Hitler, or the German commander that you're sort of playing, and you're playing as Nazi Germany, you're not playing as good, friendly Germany, you're playing as Nazi Germany here. So are you required to make the same mistakes as Nazi Germany? And this here, Western war plans, lack of offensive plans. Now, if you look at a war game like Gary Grigsby's War in the East, which, just if you haven't caught the announcement, they are making Gary Grigsby's War in the East 2, just more as an improvement, not as a radical change. And that's the Eastern Front, and so that's designed to say, give the units that were available to the Germans and or the Soviets at their historical times. You don't, presumably all the rest of the war, the Mediterranean, the Western Front, or whatever, that's all going sort of historically. The production, German production of planes and aircraft are going historically. The bombings are sort of going historically. It's all sort of going historically. You get the forces that were available historically to fight out the war. Okay. I'm sort of describing to you as, being historically accurate, trying to be very historically accurate. Okay, well, the guy who, let's just say, because it's not quite that clean, because Hitler was muddling in things and whatnot and deciding what theater gets what divisions where and what the production numbers were of what tanks and whatnot. And, do they have enough fighters to defend the factories, or do the factories as historically get bombed? Okay. So if the guy who's only going to get to manage the Eastern Front, and that's all you're playing as, that's a very legitimate way to go. And then from there, you should have a relative freedom of action to make or not make mistakes, whether known historical mistakes. I don't know, Operation Citadel, the Battle of Kursk, the Soviets happened to make a bulge in it and stalled out there. Do you want to attack there too? Or they may go, no, we're going to do something different, instead of forced to refight that battle on, because we're looking at a strategic level game of the Eastern Front of the war. Now, what am I playing here and now? What is this? A strategic level, divisional level game of the entire goddamn war. And so why in the hell can't I plan to have these 16 divisions, if I wanted to, sitting up here ready to invade Denmark the same day that I invade Poland? Yes, I know. The Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact is set up so that Hitler doesn't have to worry about he's hoping, doesn't have to worry about expanding the war into a greater battlefield at the time. But the main concern for Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact is so that the Soviet Union doesn't come into the war. And so beyond that, and securing that, because I'm guessing, I haven't done it, but I'm guessing that if I had come in here and justified war goals against, Denmark, I could be attacking Denmark right now. But they're not allowing me to use the National Focus Plan here, Western War Plans. So until you play a game, you really don't know it. And this is, I'm upset. I'm not rage quitting or anything like that. Don't get me wrong on that. The idea that I don't have this, and I'm guessing because obviously historically it happened before, will be removed on August 15th. So this is a built-in delay for attacking in the West. Now, historically, again, and we'll look into chat in a bit. Historically, Hitler wanted to immediately attack in the West once Poland, once Poland is defeated. He actually, has a victory parade in Warsaw, which Hitler attends. Poland's done for. They do the sort of Brest-Litovsk meeting. Where is the city? Lublin. Where is it on this map? Isn't it right? No, okay, yeah, over here. Do the sort of, Soviet-German meetup. They do a little mini victory sort of parade there. Once all that's done and Poland's done and dusted, Hitler wants to attack in the East. And his generals are just like, stall him, because they know a few things. One, they're not ready to. And okay, not ready to, and that can come to lack of offensive plans. But they do sort of come up with some plans. But the real reason, the main reason, at least as far as I know from the histories, and it's at early stages, it's very much sort of a Belgium-Luxembourg kind of push in around Maginot Line. It's sort of only the later ones that they add in. At least I hope I'm getting some. Again, I'm talking, some of this is off, stuff that I read 20 years ago. So excuse me if I get some details wrong. It's later that they sort of add in the Netherlands with sort of a wave, Schlieffen plan, larger version 2. And once that is sort of blown with the aircraft landing, was it in the Netherlands or Belgium or whatever, with one set of plans, that they scrap those and they go with Manstein's plans of initial attacks into Belgium and the Netherlands here, and the concentrated, because I don't think the panzers were concentrated in the original plan. They were, they were in divisions, yes, not all broken up as individual battalions or whatever, reinforcing the infantry. But I think they were a bit more spread out. And there's still one or two panzer divisions that go up in the Netherlands. The panzer divisions are concentrated to come through, through Luxembourg, through Sedan, and push out to the coast to trap all of the armies up in here. That Schmonstein changed to the plan. Okay, that takes a while to work out. But a lot of that is stalling through the winter. And that's what I wanted to just do, is stall this whole thing out into spring and have a nice spring attack into Poland. And presumably while we're planning this, having the generals go, okay, well, what if? Just do this thought experiment, General. Well, what if, just in case, the Fuhrer is absolutely sure that Britain's going to back down and France will do nothing on its own, go to war on its own, no matter what it thinks. Britain is going to back down because Chamberlain's still in charge, and he's still in charge, and Hitler misreads Chamberlain greatly. And I hope you like history, because Halifax, he is, I believe, the foreign minister at this time. He sort of palled around, particularly with Goering, to the point of staying at Goering's home. Now, you don't necessarily, diplomats don't necessarily go, how do I put this? Reagan doesn't go meet with Gorbachev or whatever and go stay in Gorbachev's home in the Soviet Union. Now, of course, after the Cold War does sort of go down, they do sort of invite some of the Soviet leaders to come and stay at some of the places in the U.S. But mostly you don't go stay at leaders that you're not terribly friendly with home. So Halifax, and if you don't know this, it was really a choice between when Neville Chamberlain was basically stepping down, it was a choice between who is going to be the next prime minister of Britain. It was a choice between Churchill and Halifax. Okay, so Halifax is much more of an appeaser, and he's talked a lot with Goering, and Goering's, of course, talked a lot with Hitler. So Hitler truly believes that Britain isn't going to go to war over Poland. But let's just say, either I, as the wargamer here, or whatever, we're delaying, just develop plans for an attack on, hey, thanks for following the channel, for an attack upon the West, for an attack upon, if we can't do that, what are we going to do for taking out Norway? Develop all of these plans and have them ready. I don't see this as a we never would have thunk about it kind of thing, we even have War Plan Orange, that America going to war with Britain, in the 1920s, and a lot of this stuff is planned out better. So I'm just going that this is not good, this that we've got to wait till this goes away until freaking August. Now I can still sort of do my summer war, because I wanted to do a spring war with Poland and a summer war, April, May kind of thing with Poland, get over here, so by June 1, because I did anticipate, let's come back here. I did anticipate, 21 days, so it wasn't going to be immediately after hitting this button, I could hit this button, and I figured there might be, and I don't think I paid attention to know. I think I moused over them to no, it wasn't like 70 days, because a few of them still are, and at least mostly where I've seen the big, like 70 days here, long time building the Maginot, or the Siegfried line, facing the Maginot line there. I get, why some of those are still the sort of long ones, and that's good. And so, yeah, I got the idea that it was going to be a month or more after Poland happened. But this whole thing, 21 days into that, so we're looking after August. So, okay, we're going to keep the live stream going. So you out there in the live stream, just hang loose. But we're going to end this episode that'll be going up later. So those of you watching later on YouTube, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. Love to hear your comments on my sort of rage about no plans to go west. Thanks so much, everyone.